Good evening, Madam President, board members. I addressed you on October 4th regarding my daughter who was bullied, who was suicidal, and this was at the hands of her school and a couple teachers and students. My daughter cannot return to school. She cannot get the help she needs. We're mounting medical bills. We had to move because the harassment was so bad. You told us you can't do anything off campus. We provided stuff from Facebook. We provided text messages, everything. My daughter is suffering because you people won't step up and do what you need to do. Also, I want to address, and I have another parent from Theodore Judah, discrimination. You tell me you can't do anything off campus to help my daughter? Well, a neighbor of ours who we didn't get along with that was a parent at Theodore Judah, not even a parent at Theodore Judah, said something to my daughter. We said something back to him. You sent a white SRO police officer from Sac PD, Matthew Hubbard, to harass my husband, none of which took place on campus. Mrs. Celeste denied us having a Black history for 3 years. 3 years in a row, I put it in writing. She lied at a meeting. I had all the evidence. Nothing was said about that. We were supposed to have diversity training at the school. This was asked for back in March. It was not going to be an expense to the district. There isn't. The other day, there was an African-American student that white PTA mothers would not give water to when he was sick. He asked me for help. You know what happened? I got retaliated against by the white PTA. Mrs. Celeste never asked for my side of the story. She got the PTA side, even though I have law enforcement who was a witness, and I have other. Now I'm getting threatened that my kids can't even go to school. All of you know about it. I sent every single one of you email, nothing. Mr. Cuneo, you are supposed to be my rep and his rep. We may live in Oak Park, but we're at Theodore Judah. Do your job.
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, board trustees, members of the board. My last name is Clark, my first name is Peter. In February of this year, myself and Mr. Kevin Carter from Occupy Sacramento visited the offices down here. We spoke to Mrs. Lamar. I asked that the school district cease doing business with the Sacramento YMCA. My son was abused at that center. He was made to fight another child. We have since resolved the matter with the YMCA. However, after I came down here with Mr. Carter, the school and the district began retaliating against my son, mysteriously placing notices in his file, sending notices out to him, to his mother, never informing me, and holding a SART conference on him without notifying me. I am frequent to that school, Theodore Judah Elementary School, and there was no reason that a conference should have been held at my son without notifying me. I have addressed the matter with Mr. Kennedy, who responded to me, unlike Mr. Cuneo. I understand the matter has been pulled from my son's file. However, I've seen the documentation to say that has been done. Having said that, the manner in which you place documents that can carry lifelong effects in my son's file is not acceptable. And just saying you took the items out is not acceptable. I need an explanation. I state that you have retaliated against me and my son to harass me and him. If a member of the board or the superintendent has items placed in his file and he's terminated or suspended, it wouldn't be acceptable. There will be an investigation, most likely leading to a criminal investigation. I asked for the same, and I intend to follow this through. I consider the harm done to my son and myself a protest against my family. I believe there were also truant officers sent to my home to harass my daughter.
Thank you for your comments,
I intend to pursue this matter, and I'm seeking answers. I have communicated with Mr. Raymond and Mr. Kennedy and the school, and I'm awaiting answers. I do intend to pursue this further.
We all have 2 minutes to make our public comment, and you've gone over the time. So I appreciate your comments and coming forward.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your 2 minutes have expired.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amy Kraus. I'm a parent of a child at Crocker Riverside Elementary. We are here tonight Crocker would like to provide some input as to consideration of the appointment for the new Area 1 school board member.
I think we have that agenda item later.
Did he call me up? Did you call me up? Oh,
It's going to be 10.4.
that's what I thought, but I heard our
Yeah.
name.
Yeah,
So I
I'm
ran
sorry.
up.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
That's pretty much it.
Well, that's it. You heard him.
Our next four comments are from Ian Arnold, Brian Delavan, Scott Smith, and Darlene Anderson.
Good evening, President Rodriguez, School Board, Superintendent Raymond. My name is Ian Arnold, SEIU Local 1021, representing the classified employees at Sacramento City Unified School District. The topic that I'm raising at the moment is your budget development process. I'm not quite sure what your budget development process is, but I do have some concerns about how the budget has gone through the process in years prior. I see lots of initiatives rolling out into the various school sites. I see consultants coming in and out. I see money spent in various ways. And I don't see how necessarily they're forwarding or following a list of priorities. So I do question whether or not the board has actually set priorities and whether or not there's a way for staff to follow those priorities. I apologize, I don't have 6 copies of this. Actually, I do have 6 copies of this. I don't have any additional. But as we've seen money being spent recently, these are work orders over the course of the last year that your various school sites have sent in that they've asked for things to happen. Because of the cuts to maintenance, these items have not been addressed. I haven't cherry-picked these. There's some items here that may seem rather innocuous, but there are also things like insect and rodent infestations, termites, broken windows, health and safety issues. They're just not being addressed because of the way we're spending the money. So I would ask that your budget workshops actually start with priorities and then figure out what is the, what can be cut. But let's start looking at what happens in the classrooms, how the kids are being impacted by the maintenance not getting done. Thank you.
Good evening, President Rodriguez, members of the board, and Superintendent Raymond. Coming from the trenches, I'm a soldier for 30 Q&R, and I encouraged my friends and family to support. I was going to go directly to the classroom. Well, lo and behold, before the coffee was done brewing the next morning, things start happening at Cerner Center. Well, it's not happening at the school. It's for the kids in the classroom, closest to the classroom. Custodians, plant managers, they're touching every classroom in this district, and we're barely hanging on, okay? We got a cleaning crew that comes through once in a while. Right now, I don't even know when the next time they're coming. I don't know. But it's not helping me every day, helping these kids, okay? My school is hurting a little bit. I'm hurting a little bit. My custodian, I should say custodians, because I guess I have 2 now, are hurting. Got a lot of promises made, a lot of statements that may be this and maybe that when these things pass and stuff like that, but the proof's going to be in the pudding, okay, for me. You're going to make these moves downtown, you need to make them in the field, in the trenches first, because that's directly affecting the classroom. That's what the measure Q&R and 30 and whatever else are for, But like I say, The proof's in the pudding. I challenge you guys to check the way you're spending this money. Go through your budgets line item by line item. Start cracking down, because we're breaking down. So, thank you very much.
Members of the board, President Rodriguez and Superintendent Raymond. I am Scott Smith, President of SCTA. You should have been handed, or maybe you're being handed now, copies of a petition from my members concerning the cleanliness of schools. The continued lack of custodial service has not gone unnoticed. Article 11.4 of our collective bargaining agreement promises our members that they will not be forced to work in unsafe and hazardous conditions. As you can see from the petitions, many of my members and your employees feel that things have gone too far and are requesting that this board take immediate action to rectify these unsafe and hazardous conditions. On a second note, you also received, I guess, a joint communication between the 5 unions, and it simply addresses some of the issues that they felt were at the forefront that the board should have attention. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, superintendent. I wanted to come tonight because I wanted to talk about the dropout rate in Sacramento City Unified School District, seeing how African American and Latino children have tripled the dropout rate. And I was really concerned simply because American Legion in Capital City don't report on the state's website. And I wondered why that would happen. And I called, and she said that your district felt it was kind of unfair to have to count those numbers, because then it would seem like you guys are really having a problem. The issue is Sacramento City Unified School District does have a problem with black and brown children. And for whatever reason, I know that I've come up here with my Latino brethren, and we've come to this district and talked about the failure rate of our children and negotiated some things, and things never worked out. Now it's time for something really outrageous, I guess. People need to understand that the public school system functions because they hold it accountable. There is no other reason a school district in any city across America would be functional if people didn't come out and ensure that the board was doing what we elected the board to do. And as a citizen, I feel that I've been discriminated against, disparately impacted, simply because I understand. I did the Con App. I was the chair of the DAC. So I know what the failure rate looks like. I volunteered. I participated at the state level. But because I know, it seems like sometimes I'm all over the place. But I'm not all over the place. I think that everybody in Sacramento knows that the public school system is not functioning well. And just because Prop 30 passed doesn't mean you get a free pass to spend money now where you didn't spend it before. I think you should bring in the public. And you know, you guys call for the public all the time, but they don't believe you. They don't come out anymore because they're sick and tired of being walked over. And people are leaving this district. And I think it's just unfortunate and sad. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no further public comment. Just like to add one thing, or maybe a question. Something that it's my understanding, Superintendent, I understand there's a rotation schedule for the school cleanup. Is that posted on the website?
It's been shared with every one of the unions. They all know about it.
Well, I'm asking because I've gotten a lot of comments from my area schools and they, from the parents and students, and so I was wondering, is that available to the public?
It's not a public document, no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Moving on to item 9.0, consent agenda. I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 9.1F. I have a first by Member Terry and a second by Vice President Wu. All in favor? Aye. And opposed? And abstentions? And the ayes have it. We have approved the consent agenda. So for the purposes of 9.1F, I have a light read by Vice President Wu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In reviewing the superintendent's contract, I believe that the contract term should state November 15, 2012 instead of July 1st, 2012, with the same termination date of June 30th, 2015. Otherwise, the proposed contract for ratification would remain the same, in my opinion.
Thank you. For the purposes of discussion and for any public comment, I think the motion is in order for your what you just read off. And so the board. Let's see here. So do I have a motion to amend the superintendent's contract so that it reads under the Section 2 term, the board hereby employs the superintendent commencing on November 15th, 2012 and terminating on June 30th, 2015, and ratification of the contract as amended by a motion.
Move the contract with that amendment.
Second.
So I have a tie for second. So I have a member Kennedy as a first, and I heard member Terry first out of the tie. So member Kennedy with the first and member Terry as a second. At this point, I know that we have some public comment, and I'd like to go with that first before we go with board discussion.
We have 5 comments on 9.1F. From Bert Stowers, Donna O'Mara, Mary Clark, Ian Arnold, and Darlene Anderson.
Members of the board, Superintendent Raymond, my name is Bert Stowers. I'd like to point out first off, there's nothing personal about my feelings. I would have the same feelings regardless of who sat Superintendent Raymond's chair. This Board of Education, that Superintendent Raymond has asked every employee to stand shoulder to shoulder with them to find a way to deal with the deficit budgets over the last several years. The employees have answered your call every time. The employees have reduced their salaries that they and their families live off of. In some cases, they have reduced the cost of their health care costs to the district, a further burden on them and their families. They have taken many other concessions to help the district and our students. The question has never been about what an employee is worth. It's been about what is in the best interest of our students. Tonight, you vote on a contract for Superintendent Raymond that increases his and his family's benefits. Why is he and his family more important than all the rest of your employees and their families? We're cleaning high schools with only 2 custodians because we can't afford any more, yet we can afford to offer him a contract that costs the district more money than the board has called this a humble contract. Then all the other contracts must be contracts for martyrs. Your action always shows more of your character and integrity than your words do. Thank you.
Hi, board members. My name is Donna O'Mara, and I'm here to talk about this because I've been, my family has been part of this district for 73 years. I started counting it. My father went to kindergarten in this school district and on down. And with the superintendent that it's going to take a raise when all of us have taken and cut ourselves, that is wrong. But with the district failing and further into program improvements, increasing financial difficulties, and poor to non-existent labor relations, why would the board extend the superintendent's contract by 3 years with an increase in compensation? That really doesn't sound good. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Raymond. My name is Mary Clark, and I have a senior in Sac City Unified School District. Through an article in the November 14th Sacramento Bee, the district community was informed of the board's intent to ratify Superintendent Raymond's contract for another 2 years. This article detailed Mr. Raymond's salary of $245,000 a year, an increase in his retirement annuity from $11,500 to $15,000, and an increase in expense allowance from $750 to $1,000 per month. Mr. Raymond will pay his own medical insurance. This morning, I did send an email to the board, and I will touch on a few of those points in that email. First and foremost, since the board members are elected and represent the district community, the members should survey stakeholders and constituents in the district as to their thoughts on Superintendent Raymond's performance and the current state of the district. Second, the school board will have 2 new members starting in January. These members will bring with them experience gained from their children attending schools under the superintendent's leadership. I don't understand why the rush to ratify this contract. His contract does not expire until June of 2013. Tonight's agenda states that the board has already voted to renew his contract for 3 years instead of the 2 years stated in the B article. After the initial 3-year contract, future contracts need only be renewed on a yearly basis. Members, I would ask why you would lock this district into a 3-year contract in these economic times that includes state layoffs, staff layoffs, furlough days, and wage freezes. Please, board members, do not ratify this contract tonight, but seek input from the district community and stakeholders so that you as board members have confidence that you are representing your districts and your communities. Thank you.
Good evening again, President Rodriguez, board members, Superintendent Raymond, again, Ian Arnold representing the classified employees at Sac City Unified School District. I don't want to repeat what you've already heard, but I do want to say our facilities are deteriorating, our test scores, and you're going to get a presentation here very shortly about our test scores. We're not doing as well as we should be. We're not meeting our targets. Labor relations, as you've heard, we're having some problems. But frankly, with the cuts to services, with the cuts to salary, with the concessions that have been made, morale of your staff, the folks who are in the classrooms providing direct services to the kids, is non-existent. And for the staff to see the extension along with the increase in compensation, it's a slap in the face. As the last speaker said, you have 2 new board members will be seated very shortly. I don't know why you wouldn't at least wait for those 2 new board members who are going to have to live with the consequences of those actions for the next 3 years before you finalize this decision. Thank you.
Hi, Darlene Anderson once again. I don't have anything against the Superintendent Raymond or the process, but I think it's skewed. I believe that the public should have had a right to have more input, simply because we do have more schools in program improvement. We've only managed to move 1 school out of program improvement in the last 4 years. We have tripled the dropout rate. I can't say because the people for African Americans had tripled. You need to go online and look at what the state is presenting, because the state presents the information, but it's incorrect because of the way the district does not count the number of children who are moved voluntarily by themselves, I guess, because their parents approved, to other schools. And so with the state of Sacramento, just because the voters voted that they believed that the district needed to have more money to survive, didn't mean that we should go rush off and ensure that somebody's job is secure for another 3 years. Didn't mean that we should ensure that he have a right to a pension or a right to anything, quite frankly. But once you guys lock him into it, then we're kind of stuck, irregardless of if we make progress or not, right? But it is this board, and when the board changes, the numbers change. So maybe that's why, because it's this board that's making the decision. But I would say, looking at the lack of improvement and the concern from the state legislature that Sac City is not doing the work, And just because you hire people with large salaries doesn't mean that they can come in and make the work happen either, because this is years of dysfunction. This is why this district is having such a tough time. It's the families that have been unserved for a long time. So you don't get to just, there are no do-overs in life. You have to start somewhere. And this district has not decided where it would start. This district just kept running. And I'm waiting for the district to look at the data and really come to the community and start again. Thank you.
Our final comment on this item is from Peter Clark.
Good evening again, Mr. Superintendent, members of the board. I came here to address my son's matter, and I heard what was being addressed here concerning your salary. I read that article in the newspaper yesterday, I believe. I'm not up to speed too much in a lot of details of this process here, but you know, as a simple layman, I understand janitors are being laid off, bus drivers are being laid off. There's no buses running through certain neighborhoods to bring transport kids to school, and you know, you're getting a pay raise, and I understand you're a very accomplished man. You know, you've done great things allegedly in North Carolina, Boston, wherever you've been. However, maybe you ought to donate some of your salary to save a few jobs. I don't know if you've thought about that, or maybe the board members can help you work something out where you donate some of your salary to probably save some jobs at schools, janitors. I mean, you got 3 janitors sweeping, you know, a big school. That's a lot of work. Some kids who can't get a ride to school and their parents have to beg for a ride or catch a bus or walk around town in dark hours being hit by cars and stuff. So, you know, while you are working in the superintendent's salary, maybe you all can have it in your conscience and some sort of a game plan to probably have him contribute back to the very district that's paying his salary. And maybe you can look at the people who are making the top 5% incomes in the district and find some way of working something out where you save some of the jobs. You're pretty smart guys, so thank you.
Okay, that's all the public comment we have on this particular item. Do I have any board members wishing to provide further comments, questions? Sure. The motion has been made and seconded. First is by Kennedy and second is by Terry. And so I will now proceed to a vote. And I'd like to do a roll call. Superintendent.
Member Arroyo?
No.
Member Bell? Vice President Cuneo? Member Kennedy? President Rodriguez?
No.
Member Terry?
Aye.
Vice President Wu? Student Member Yee?
Thank you. We have a majority of the board that has voted, and we have now an approved contract for the superintendent for item 9.1F. Moving on to item 10.0, board workshop and strategic plan and other initiatives. 10.1, 2011-2012 assessment and accountability update district and secondary schools. It is an information item.